No, it's just like.
And welcome back to the fifth and final round of Swiss. We're diving right into the action as we have a quick turnaround. You can see the decks listed here. We got Tivit in first seed, Tim Natana, the partner pairing in second seed. Third seed, we have Fonzie playing Keenan, and fourth seed, we have Kenrith. So quite colorful pod. A lot of green creature decks in here. Shadi, this seems exactly your speed.
Okay. Turn one Archon of Emeria.
Yeah,
This is gonna be a
we're gonna be here a minute.
It's gonna be
we're gonna be here a little bit.
Oh
Starting off with Archon in second seat, off of a mana crypt. Lisby able to power that one out, playing Bloodless Pod. So, kind of a stack. This is exactly the kind of turn one that I think Lisby's looking to see. I haven't played much of Blood Pod. I don't know if you have, but I have to imagine this is a start that Lisby is really excited about.
Absolutely. Any Timna X deck mid-range stacks looking for a turn one Archon to does turn one Archon going into the turn two Timna, start drawing cards, slowing down the game. It's pretty good here. But I think in this part specifically, I think everyone is okay with a slow game. I don't think maybe Kinnan, but when you get Kinnan online, I think they're okay.
Well, Kinnan specifically can win around it, right? Like Kinnan is a deck typically that their marquee thing is making infinite mana through something like Basalt Monolith or whatever, and then just like activating Kinnan until you win, which gets underneath the Archon. So maybe there's a chance that Fonzie can get through it, but of course, starting off with a tapped turn of Citadel means that there's some work to do before we're in that kind of position, as we've already gotten all the way back to Lisby, with just a bunch of tap lands being played from every player, Mana Confluence, Turn to Citadel, and City of Brass, and we are back. And so Archon looking to be really impactful right out the gate, just like we thought it would be. I mean, this has got to be one of the best stack species you can play that finds itself as a creature.
Definitely. Oh, we didn't have the second.
That's a shame. No second lands. Yeah, no Timna to get the engine to start rolling. But the Elvish Mystic does still develop mana, does still let you play a spell for turn. So I think that Lisby's not unhappy necessarily with the progression of things. I do think that Archon is hurting the opponents more than it's hurting them. But we are that may not be the case if all these other players get untap, start developing their mana. With Fonzie playing something like Mana Crypt here, they're going to start to get their mana underneath them as well. And Lisby's going to need to develop their board at least as fast, if not faster, in order to keep up.
Totally agree. And I think due to that, I think it'll definitely be a good game. I think they might have to respect Kinnan. The Verdant being tapped here is a pretty big deal. Oh, that's a vault.
And then a Mana Vault from Accepted. Players playing Quick Magic. I have a lot of respect for this. We've seen, I think, a few matches today that drug a little bit. I think all the players in this pod are used to playing these kinds of games and, very interested in making sure that this game comes to a natural conclusion. So I really like the Quick Magic we have here. Deco, deploying the Fellwash Stone. I think no third land from Deco is pretty big deal as far as developing underneath this Archon of Emeria. Of course, Tivit, if it can get going, is going to be very, very effective underneath Archon, being able to develop your board, crack treasures, that kind of thing. Doesn't require you to play spells. So Tivit itself as a magic card, going to be pretty good, I think, for developing underneath Archon. But we need to get there first, and missing land drops, not exactly what Deco wants to see, as we are in Lisby's turn 3 as well, who missed their second land drop.
Ooh, that's not good. I think we saw the turn one Archon and the slam keep.
I mean, as we mentioned, this is one of the best starts that I think the Tim Natana deck can output, right? Mana Crypt, land, Archon, all the mana to cast it. Like, you can't be upset with that, as Survival's the follow-up. Card could be effective, but, there's a lot of interaction in this pod, and with not a lot of mana to protect yourself, may not be good enough. We'll see what Lisby can assemble over the next couple turns with the Survival.
That Verdant, that fetch land was brutal. I'm going to be honest with you. That is
let's do a quick basic check for Fonzie. Do we have a basic forest we can grab at this? Start using the mana right away?
Oh, that would be lovely.
We do have a snow-covered forest. So if we want to crack that, we can find an untapped mana source. And the classic, we're going to fetch, okay, table. Is there any Avens? Any opposition agents?
Oppo check, Aven check.
Yeah, well, I don't think any player is able to have the mana for that right now. And of course, you can't ritual into it underneath the Archon. So looks like this fetch land's going to work. See if Fonzie is going to reach for that forest. Start using the mana right away. Getting Kennen out a turn early. I mean, just, yeah, here we go. There's the snow-covered forest. Access to the forest, huge deal here. Like you mentioned, able to use the mana right away basically negates the fact that it was a fetch land tapped underneath Archon.
Correct. And also, I'm getting to play Kennen here just to start turning the wheels under the Archon is pretty good also.
Card's so good.
Absolutely. So
it's
Fonzie doing the Brazilian cut here, as is expected. Player's going to take care of that one real quick. An important part of webcam magic. We'll see what the follow-up is for Fonzie. You know, Kennen did mention probably a fine play, but, you know, might be something else. Might be some more development to be done. Can also leave up some colored sources to try to support some interaction as well. If you think, you know, something's going to start happening this turn.
Interacting in my meta, get out of here. We're not here to interact at all.
All right, okay.
We're here to put.
I mean, you're not going to respect Alex's acceptance.
Absolutely.
Mana Vault.
Absolutely.
I mean, Mana Vault with Kenrith. That doesn't scare you. Okay.
That is Timmy's job. I'm here. I'm third seat. No, absolutely. Oh, you might be.
All right. Well, this looks like 4 mana being tapped.
Seems like we're developing, as you said. Maybe we have something great coming down here.
I'm gonna go for a
Birthing Pod. Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. So apparently there's not one Birthing Pod deck, but 2, I believe. Yeah, we got 2 Birthing Pods.
That is spicy.
Spicy.
I've not seen a Birthing Pod in a hidden list before. Well, what do we have here?
Well, there's only 14 creatures, so it's not like this Birthing Pod has an abundance of targets.
Super hot.
Okay, no, not really. I guess you just want to get some value.
I mean, I think it kind of works with like Displacer Kitten a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you can like flicker it, pod into something else, like something like your what's it called? The Trinket Mage, your Trophy Mage. Is there a Spell Seeker? I don't even see a Spell Seeker, so I guess
they just get into the Trinket Mage to grab the Basalt Monolith and eventually get to Displacer Kitten to get some value going on. Okay.
All right. I mean, I'm about it. There's a crop rotation comes down for Lisby. That one's going to find Gaia's Cradle. Going to unlock a little bit of the mana quantity issue. Still not a lot of colors, as Lisby, a 4-color deck, still only access to green mana. Actually went down a color, sacrificing white at the end step for Fonzie there as we move to Accepted's turn. Took a draw step, tap Scrubland. Pretty brutal mana development.
We're just holding on, man. Oh, Kenny boy.
Get Kenrith in play. Come on. If we're playing a slow game, Kenny is king of the battlefield. King of the battlefield. I like it a lot. I like getting down, getting to the board, getting your big creature in play and saying, all right, you know, if we're going to play this slow game, I'm going to be a part of it.
A 5/5 beater. Who do you start going after first? Do you go after the Blood Pot player and go after the
Well, like you mentioned, I think a lot of these decks can operate really well underneath a slow game, like a very bogged down board state. All these decks are really well set up to combat that. So I think it's actually going to depend based on where we're at, like on each individual turn, who's the biggest threat. Whether you're looking at the Tivit player, you know, getting their mana situation figured out, Ranger Captain, a big ad for Deco, you know, able to go grab, you know, either some kind of mana, Esper Sentinel, a whole host of things, as well as definitely shut down any kind of shenanigans in one turn. You know, you're not going to be able to bounce just the Archon and then go off. You're going to need to do some in-step stuff, basically guaranteeing this game's going to go even longer. And of course, if Deco themselves finds the answer to the Archon and stuff and is able to find some kind of win,
so I'm trying
we're going to have protection.
If Deco misses 3rd land drop here, that might be a big damper on his getting the game plan going here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been missing land drops already, so still missing land drops, not terribly surprising to see. As we see some survival activations coming down. I have to assume we're on end step. I think.
So I guess we went Ranger Captain, grabbed the Esper, moved to end step, activated survival. I don't know what you get. I think you're gonna burn.
Well, let's take a look. We got a lot of mana, and most of it is green. So the most appealing things to me right now that are just big and green are like endurance, witness, Collector, if you're interested in shutting down some of the artifact mana that's been developed, I don't know if you, with your mana crypt, you're interested in that.
No.
Probably not, but who knows? We'll see. We got a Birds of Paradise.
You got a birdie. Yeah, because I think, you need your colors. You need your
Yeah.
team on board. You start drawing cards, you're drawing to land. So that's how it works.
Maybe a sign of weakness though from Lisby. If your best play here is to upgrade your Avacyn's Pilgrim into a Birds of Paradise. I have to imagine that is one of the lower powered things you could be doing with the survival, and speaks to this kind of colors of mana issue that I think Lisby's going through right now.
You're a man that you need your land drops and your color sources to play the game. You're a big land believer. Yeah, big land drop. Exactly.
Big believer in playing lands.
Exactly. So we need to make our colors here. We need to play the game.
Going to play Birds of Paradise first. That one, of course, can be functionally free with the Gaea's Cradle. It's part of the power of it. You see that happen in Legacy with elves all the time, being able to deploy all your mana creature, your elves, and then use your Cradle to basically get your rebuy all that mana if you have a way to use it. But we'll see if Lisby does. So far, a lot of mana, not a lot to do with it. Been a little color restricted, has Lisby.
Definitely. But I think we're getting there slowly but surely. I mean, the Archon definitely gave us a bunch of time to get there. Alex is now showing off his 4 altars.
That's a lot. That's a lot of Kenriths. That's so many Kenriths. There's only one king. He's legendary. What are we doing here? There can't be 4 of them. There can only be 1. What gives?
We're allowed for a flex.
More smackdowns from Archon and a pass to Fonzie. We'll untap, roll their mana crypt.
Did we remove Kenrith by mistake? Yeah, okay, there we go.
I mean, it's the legend rule shot. He just blows them all up.
Oh yeah, we blow them all up. Yeah, sure. So I think
see if Fonzie has something to do with this birthing pod this turn, or is interested in playing Kinnan or not. Like I said, still a lot of cards in Fonzie's hand. Not a lot of creatures in Fonzie's deck. So if we're looking to utilize the pod, I have to imagine that we're looking to pod away Kinnan themselves.
I'm interested because he didn't go Kinnan first. He went pod. I'm assuming he's gonna get the creature then pod it. So I don't know what we're going for, but I'm definitely interested in it.
Just because I
in this next turn
playing against this version.
Yeah. I think we're thinking about that now. Like I said, Fonzie has a lot of cards in hand, a lot of mana to work with. This Tarnished Citadel, maybe not actually the best land. Normally the life total doesn't matter too much, right? You're not an ad nauseam deck. You're not playing black. But, in a pod like this, that's very liable to come down to some combat damage beatdowns. And like your life total is a real resource. So the Tarnished Citadel maybe going to look at its worst here as Fonzie does choose to deploy the Kinnan. Of course, Birthing Pod not helping at all with the life total issues that exist. As we choose not to pot away our Kinnan and pass over to Alex.
It's hard to pot away the Kinnan when that's your whole game plan.
True, but it does kind of beg the question: in your 14 creature deck, what are we potting? What are we choosing to pot?
We're just here to do some Displacer Kitten action.
Okay, that's fair. Just Displacer Kitten shenanigans.
I think who did Alex went after? Lisby.
Looks like Lisby. I like that a lot. I think Lisby is still the most ahead. They have developed their mana the most and still have like an onboard repeatable tutor. It's hard for anyone else to be as threatening. Of course, Fonzie, it's hard to know exactly what Fonzie's up to. I don't even know what Fonzie's up to. I have access to the deck list.
I totally agree. I'm here. I don't know what Fonzie is doing. I see a possibility of Trophy Mage grabbing Basalt Monolith, but if you don't have a Kinnan in play, that doesn't matter. So I'm definitely interested in how this game.
Well, we have that next turn, right? Where we can we're still a few mana short, but Dranith Magistrate being added by Deco 95 is going to mean that potting away Kinnan is going to be very bad for the rest of the game.
And that came out at a good time also, because now the Timna that Lisby was trying to get online, or the town is offline. So he's not drawing extra cards here.
Maybe Alex now a little bit of a sleeper in this game. Starting from 4 seed, having Kenrith already in play is going to be a big deal if this Drana sticks around for really any length of time.
I'm gonna.
We're hard casting an endurance here. Maybe doing some survival shenanigans.
Yeah, just gonna pitch a Llanowar Elves.
Llanowar Elves gonna get pitched. These mana creatures able to be upgraded.
I don't know. I'm
I think
just.
we're still on end step here.
Yeah, we're still on that step. No, let me take a look. See, take a look.
All right, so we have access to another color of mana. That unlocks a lot of options for their survival. Now there's 34 creatures in this deck list. So like I said, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to accurately assess what we're looking at.
I don't know. Maybe can we end in a key karmic guy? Can we get it all together here?
We need a second white, right? We can't cast any of the pieces. How do we do any of
We
this?
can't cast any. No, you're right. You're right. Because we need a double white for the karmic guy to win the key. And
Yeah,
the
looks like we
Felidar
are
Guardian.
just getting endurance here. So endurance, maybe a little bit of insurance against any kind of, of the weird dockside loops from Kenrith. But overall, this isn't actually a huge breach pod. A lot of these decks don't really look to use their graveyard when winning the game. Of course, Kennen making infinite mana, activating itself infinitely. Kenrith kind of does some of the same flavor of stuff with Dockside Extortionist. And Tivit uses the time seed normally, right? So endurance maybe looking almost at its worst. And it's at its worst in this pod.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of getting the endurance. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe he has a birthing pod in hand. We don't know. But not a fan.
Obviously not. And it is some insurance against some of the corner case kills, so it might just be better to have in hand than a Llanowar Elf if you're just looking to use your mana and have things you want to be spending your green on. Because more green, I don't think is really adding anything to the mix for Lisby. This Gaius Cradle producing more than enough of that for the time.
Agreed.
No lands. I'm just not drawing lands.
Step. These mana crypts also kind of sleeper win conditions when you get into these combat heavy, slow games that we're seeing here. These cards that traditionally in very ad nauseum heavy, turbo heavy pods that appear to have no downside suddenly have a real downside as Allosaurus Shepherd is going to get deployed. Well, that one's pretty good in an all blue pod.
It's pretty good. Yeah, but we pitched an elf there. I would like to get my elves to become dinosaurs.
You want to activate?
Absolutely.
You're looking to fire it up? All right.
Absolutely. Get some elf dinosaur action going.
Sure. Yeah, that'll get the game over with. It's kind of awkward too, alongside Archon of Emeria, that you can't really deploy it and then deploy some big green payoff of some kind. Whatever, your Court of Calling for a bunch, Finale for a bunch, because your own Archon stops you from being able to play a spell afterwards. So you have to find a way to untap with this Allosaurus Shepherd for it all to work. Pyroblast on end step, going to take care of Kinnan, and that one's going to stay locked into the Draenith. We can't just redeploy that one. Huge play from Accepted.
I think Accepted did not want to figure out what shenanigans was going to happen with that birthing pod and Kinnan. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm on board with it. I also think the Pyroblast doesn't look great when Tivit's already kind of out of reach for Deco, who is still very stuck on mana. Your Pyroblast doesn't have a lot of other great targets going on right now. And I think Kinnan's certainly the juiciest and does let you use your mana and kind of leverage the Archon stopping everybody from casting all your spells. You still get to as another Phyrexian 4-mana spell coming down in Phyrexian Metamorph.
Yep, probably.
Pass priority. Let's get a listen here what they're going to copy.
Kenrith.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we have a Tarnished Citadel. We can choose all the modes. I'm about it. I guess.
I'm about it.
Fire it up.
Beat the shit out of somebody.
Alex kind of getting the joke. He's just gonna beat the crap out of people. Yeah. All right. Combat damage. Let's do it. Kenrith, king of the battlefield. What if there's two? I said there could only be one. Well, I was very wrong. There is certainly going to be two. Let's see exactly what happens with that.
And maybe he's still thinking about it. I wouldn't mind a ranger captain getting a.
Well, the thing is, it copies converted mana cost too. So there's a chance Fonzie can just pod that into a consecrated Sphinx, right?
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I didn't see that line. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. We'll see if that's what we chooses to do. I mean, Kenrith is still just very meaningful on this battlefield, but a consecrated Sphinx also worth quite a bit, especially when a Pyroblast has just been used on Kinnan. Yeah, we just saw a piece of removal come down. The way might be clear to go ahead and get a Con Sphinx here.
Gain 5 life. Target player draws.
Fonzie getting the text on Kenrith here. Can just hover over that one in spell table and get a look.
It's okay. He wants someone to read it to him. Nothing's wrong with that.
read me a story.
Read me a story.
Sean.
Exactly.
What is the card Kenrith Returned King to?
I don't know. It's a book in itself.
It's just a book.
It's just a book. Too many words. Too many words.
If we are on Beat Street.
I'm just gonna leave it like is. Actually,
Fonzie. Maybe a little unsure about how to proceed from here. Thinking about attacking, I think we can give a haste thanks to Tarnished Citadel. It does cost 3 life when Fonzie already at the lowest life total at 25.
Yeah,
would further the deficit trying to attack now.
I think you put yourself in
can
not a
ask
cool
Alex to
position.
pay the 1 red, so all creatures.
I won't.
Would you like to pay? I love the politic. Would you like to pay the 1 red and give my Kenrith haste?
All right, so I totally agree. That's a good idea.
Creatures have haste.
All right, all creatures have haste. Beep beep.
What are we beeping at though? Are we beeping also at Lisbon?
I think you're supposed to, right?
Oh no, we went.
Also, Shepherd's kind of a big red flag. Okay, go ahead, accepted. Interesting. I do like the respect there quite a bit, and we're gonna put a counter on Kenrith using, of course, Accepted's own Kenrith's ability on Instep there. Good use of mana. Kenrith kind of, this is what it's so good against underneath the rule of laws. I phrased that really badly, but being able to use your mana every single turn on a host of different abilities makes Kenrith look really, really good when there's rule of law effects in play. And it's kind of one of the reasons to be doing this over something like Najeela or the other cards that, you know, when you get to bog down creature board states aren't nearly as impactful.
Agreed. Like I've played Alex with this game state before where he just gets this 5/5 beater, like, oh well, I can't remove it. So eventually we need to find the removal or we're going to die. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It doesn't also attract as much hate as Najeela does.
Here's a land.
It does normally get auto removed as quickly as it does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also just, yeah, like you said, very hard to kill. Like it's not dying to random bolts and stuff like that. This card is 5 mana. It's a beefcake. It's hard to get that one off the battlefield unless you have something like Source of Plowshares. And a huge play from Deco 95, Ristic Study. Now this one kind of a little bit of a non-bow with rule of law effects because, you know, people killing for 1 spell anyway. Usually they have 1 extra mana to spare to play it, but that may not be the case for some of these kind of mana constrained players that we're looking at right now.
We all be
I
fine.
totally agree. How do you feel about Deco not being very aggressive with the Ranger Captain?
Dude, I don't have any lands. I'm just
Lisby looking for some lands. I mean, I don't know. I respect maybe wanting to block some of these Kenriths, but they get trampled really
but
easily.
you're not.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
but you're truly not blocking the Kenriths, right?
yeah, and you're not blocking with Tyrannus, so that one, in my opinion, could probably get attacking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's respect for something like opposition agent or whatever, but maybe you can even attack something like Fonzie. Certainly a little bit of a passive play that maybe represents not wanting to get attacked with some of the small creatures that like Lisby has access to. Maybe valuing that life total matters a lot. I don't hate that. If that's your analysis, just be like, hey, ignore me. Don't attack me with the little ones. Don't attack me with anything. I'm just going to sit here and try to find an out to win the game. And, you know,
He also very importantly found the 3rd land drop also.
True. Scalding Tarn, though, maybe not the best. Let's see if,
Not the
see if the
best.
pivot list has any basics that we can grab the Scalding Tarn.
Yeah. And I mean, you would still draw.
I don't see any basics. So that one's going to be a land on suspend 2.
For 2 turns.
Yes, for sure. Lisby, still no land to show. That's
Hey, sometimes
I'm not going to get on my soapbox about hitting land drops, okay? But I just want you to know I could.
It's okay. It's okay. We saw the turn 1 Archon and we hope for land drops, and that's okay. And that's how,
you know, to be fair to Lisby, they have 30 lands. So it's like, what are you going to do? Play 31? Like, diminishing returns. Their land count is more than reasonable. And frankly, they have enough mana sources. I mean, Mana Crypt, Gaia's Cradle, 2 mana creatures. Got they have 2 other mana creatures. Like, I mean, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Just don't come at me. Just don't come at me. Then.
we had a lot of great mana. I didn't like pitching Pilgrim. I think the white was very
crap, guys.
I wonder if there was a universe where you're supposed to just grab Eternal Witness, put Eternal Witness in play, get our Savannah back. Just like start having. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not excited about it, but you know what? It makes your colors. Okay, it fixes the color problem.
We're definitely having a color problem. All right, we're play the
I
spell.
like cast an Imperial Seal.
Imperial Seal. Well, that is
Ooh.
quite the spell indeed, as Ristic Trigger immediately announced for Deco 95. Let's
Oh,
see if we're going to pay for that
oh, I'm
one.
paying.
Have to imagine we are.
Oh, definitely.
I'm paying.
We
A spell per
are.
turn.
I could not even begin to guess as to what this is going to grab. There's a few issues going on for Lisby. Something like Dockside Extortionist is really appealing, but where do you go from there? Like once your mana issues are fixed, like it's not like really Lisby had a mana quantity issue.
Right.
It seemed to be a color issue. And like you mentioned, the Dran is shutting off the Timna strategy, which is normally kind of the way that these non-blue Timna decks try to go, is they just put a lot of stacks creatures in play. They do a lot of attacking, try to basically amass this swarm of stacksy creatures that Timna just keeps the cards going for, and eventually win with something like combat damage, or like you mentioned, like a key or something like that.
I still like grabbing Bursting Pod, because Bursting Pod uses green, and I think you do have to remove the Archon. So if we go for the Bursting Pod line, we would have to pot away the Archon, getting the Felidar Guardian, flickering the pod. The pod, goes back again to grab the Karmic Guide and get to the Kiki.
And that goes up the chain. Okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe Birthing Pod's a win here. This is why you're the green expert, Shawnee. I don't see it. I don't see it, Bondi. I don't see it.
We all can be Grixis, man, at times. We gotta play the bad cards. Gotta play the bad cards at times.
Fonzie down to 19. Life total dwindling very quickly for Fonzie. I wonder if that's going to put some pressure on Fonzie to act maybe a little bit ahead of schedule with the life total dwindling so quickly. Alex's Kenrith already grown above the size of yours, and with more mana to access. Have to imagine that Fonzie's going to need to make something happen here.
I think we just stay home with it. I think eventually you can only gain 5 life. I mean, technically you're gonna not gain 5, you're gonna gain 2 because the target Citadel. I think you might. I like the idea that you had for the last turn where you pawned the Kenny and get the consecrated things to start drawing out of the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of the angle I would reach for. There might be a host of reasons not to do that when you're looking at, this many stacks creatures, this many instant speed tricks. Like, maybe there's something that does blow you out for that, but my instinct is to kind of reach for that utility from Consecrated Sphinx, because as it stands, even just doing something like hitting land drops is a way to get ahead underneath an Archon, because right now, I mean, Fonzie, everyone else is developing, everyone else every turn is putting something meaningful onto the battlefield. And, or, in the case of Lisby, putting a tutor on the stack, which is a huge deal. Like, you need to continue to be a player in this game, and doing so based on, whatever, just playing something like a talisman is not going to keep up with what's going on the board right now.
No, definitely not. I'm also like this is where I enjoy like tournament magic, where you get to play where people are okay, especially these kind of decks, sitting behind the Archon. Where like, how has no one planned to remove the Archon? No one needs to remove the Archon.
We'll just play under it. Exactly. This is a pod of players more or less designed to play underneath this kind of effect. So why? Why remove it and maybe give someone else who may have a better, setup in their hand already the chance to win the game when you feel like, you're a competitor underneath the Archon as it is. That's really where the magic, I think, gets really interesting, is like, because now there's this politics game of, okay, who is actually the most ahead? Is it Alex, who has all this colorful mana for Kenrith? Is it, Fonzie, who has pod and a Kenrith? Is it Deco, who has this Ristic now that, whatever, Ristic, probably the best card on the battlefield in the abstract that isn't Mana Crypt. Who's the most ahead? It's not clear to me. I can't imagine it's clear to the players. They're just kind of attacking who they can. And maybe we have a pod activation here. Here it comes.
We're actually statistically, we're like with the draw point wise, we get there.
I mean,
maybe a little bit of discussion draw wise. I don't know how true or not true this is.
I think if we're sure that is the copy, like it copies a 5 CMC, because I think you might want to go grab a kit here. But I think, are we doing the Oppo check?
Look, I'm not a judge, so I will put myself at 80% confident that is a 5 CMC creature sacrificed to Birthing Pod.
We're about to find out. We're about to find out.
We're about to find out. Yeah, somebody hopefully knows the ruling. If not, they're gonna let whatever happens happens. But personally, if I were in Fonzie's seat and I sacrificed this, I would grab a Consecrated Sphinx.
All right,
so successfully found the Consecrated.
We got there. We got there together. I definitely
Now,
like this. So it
Yeah,
forces
I
the
think so.
table to go.
Well, Deco's got
Do you
10
have
points,
removal?
so like Deco's. That's why we're playing it out.
I think there's gonna be the Kenny.
Is that all you doing?
The Kenny's gonna come at you definitely.
Yeah, I played my spell for turn.
Yeah. The camera's going to attack you, but that's basically the last creature in play that can attack you, and you
Correct.
have a couple turns before that camera is actually going to kill you. And that's all that's really going to left. What's left for Fonzie right now, anyway. Like 2 turn cycles. I mean, that's probably all Fonzie's got left, unless there's some kind of cyclonic rift, some kind of wrath effect to clear this whole board up. If we just continue playing combat math magic underneath a rule of law, you know, Fonzie's only really got 2 more turns left, and Consecrated Sphinx, I think, is going to enable Fonzie to use the most out of those 2 turns. As we do just grow Kenrith twice. Now an 8/8 is acceptance.
So there's a cool thing that's happening here. If it works out, if Fonzie gets to untap with the sea things, he gets to on his turns play a spell and bounce the Archon. Because he gets to go to Heartbreaker Horror, which is a 7. He gets to pop from 6 to 7, get the Heartbreaker Horror, and he can maybe get there. Depends on what's in his hand, but if he gets to untap, that's a kind of cool thing that might happen here.
Yeah, I mean, Hullbreaker Horror would add a lot, especially if that spell is, I don't know, something that can.
What happened here? Did we miss
We attacked Deco, who blocked with Dranith Magistrate.
Oh,
interesting.
After that, let me look at my hand.
Okay.
We chose, I think, to give it trample and pass. So, I mean, Alex kind of been pretty face up the entire game about what his game plan is. I'm going to sit Kenrith and play, and I'm going to beat y'all up until you have to move, until one of you has to squirm and make something happen. But 2 more cards coming for Fonzie on Deco's turn, thanks to Consecrated Sphinx. We'll see what Deco can assemble this turn.
Seems good.
Tapped Marsh Flats is an absolute beating
for
Deco.
I feel like this might be coming up on the last turn here. If there has to be interaction. I think we're
getting to the point where someone needs to answer the Archon now, because it's clear who's winning in combat and who's not. And the players that are not are Fonzie and Deco. So one of them needs to likely answer this Archon, or they're just going to die. Like what's going to happen is they're going to have to make a win happen either underneath the Archon or answer the Archon directly, or they are going to die to combat damage, because they are the most behind on life total, the most behind on creature size. Like they're going to die. So we got to figure something out here.
Bullshit what your guys are doing, and
if you guys accept for the record, I attacked you
total
once.
bullshit what you guys
I
are
attacked you once.
Now we're talking about attacks and combat. I like it.
Our life totals we're starting to
look, when the light totals start getting low, the politics start coming out. A shot, and the gloves come off. It's hey, like it's time to make some deals. Whoa, does that camera really need to go at me? Come on.
we start getting touched about our life totals when the Ken is pressuring it.
Once we start dipping below the halfway mark, it's becoming time for a little conversation about where these attacks are going and why.
No, I don't. I think you need to survive a turn cycle before we start worrying about life totals. You're not dead.
Deco for sure. I think Deco still can, like especially with this mana situation. But Deco probably needs to spend this turn setting up for a win, because they're not going to get too many more turns, I think. And like I said, the same true for Fonzie.
Yeah, I think he has 2 turns. I'm very that was interesting that I thought Alex accepted would have attacked Fonzie, forcing him to block with the sea things, but he did not.
There you go.
And I think I don't know, blocking with the Janeth. I don't know if I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, I think maybe that's like part of some kind of threat. It's like, hey, if you attack me and block with the Janeth, I'm going to remove the Janeth. And to accept its credit, I mean, he's not falling for any kind of tricks. All right, attack it. Like he's decided quick on his attacks. He's not allowing himself to be swayed. He's not asking for any favors. He's like, attack you. You.
He's not a guy that you can talk out of things at all.
I like it. Be resolved, be confident. Show me. Endurance coming down here for Lisby. I think this is going to be end step. Yeah.
So what?
If nothing else, 3-4
Yeah,
on the
which
board that
Deco
blocks
agrees with
flyers.
that
Not
because
bad.
Deco-
Oh, you know what?
Fonzie could
If
just
this
put
if this is a play I saw, if I
Yeah.
believe it's gonna come soon.
Um,
That 3
I'm
drop
gonna hit
the
myself
endurance if he's hard
the
casting it.
endurance.
He
Yeah.
gets to he gets
What?
to
I think
now
you
not
just
be able
need
to not sack the
Yeah,
Archon.
Puts
He
on the
gets that
bottom.
no
Puts on the bottom.
endurance is doing the same loop,
Oh, all right.
which is cool.
Yeah.
So you
Do
get
you
to
guys
keep
care
his
if I
stack
just do
pieces.
it this way?
That's fine.
Ah, I
it's
see.
fine.
That way we can, yeah, because it doesn't shuffle your deck. It only shuffles your graveyard,
Oh,
puts it on the
right.
bottom of your deck. So the top card that we
Like
knew
what?
for Imperial Seal, well, Lisby knows, we don't know,
No.
Alright.
is still there. And like you said, yeah, pod, we can just pod and then everyone only gets one spell. Although if it's a counter spell, it's going to work anyway. But the Alstro Shepherd is still in play. If it's a birthing pod, it's not
Right.
counterable right now.
It shouldn't be counterable. Let's see. Let's see. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Very
I mean, if
excited
you're
to
right
see
about
this.
birthing pod, we might just be done here. Let's see exactly what is going to happen. Lisby has seemed fairly ahead most of the game, though Consecrated Sphinx
So you can go.
potentially changing that some. I mean, Fonzie has gotten access to a lot of new cards to look at. And Lisby a little stuck on mana after the explosive turn 1 play. And this looks like a lot of mana being tapped. Could suggest some birthing pod stuff. I'm just excited to see birthing pod. I love that card a lot. And as much as I may not seem like a green kind of guy,
yeah.
I have a lot of respect for some birthing pod wins. So I'm excited to see what happens here, what the card we
Gain 2 life,
tutored
let's
for
cast
actually
a
is.
birthing pod.
And a birthing pod
Oh.
is being cast. Birthing pod number 2 of this pod of Magic players. That one not counterable.
Well,
Thanks to Allosaurus Shepherd, counting
There's
the
gonna-
amount of green.
No, I'll pay
There's gonna be a lot of hemming and hawing now, because
Yeah, it looks like that one just worked. I mean, we made 4 green here.
gonna have to remove the shepherd. That's the first.
That's step
action.
one.
That's
That's where
one.
things begin.
Yeah.
And the same player that removes the Allosaurus Shepherd can't be the player to counter the spell. So there needs to be some teamwork.
Yeah,
As Fierce Guardianship going to get cast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Allosaurus Shepherd.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it's a castable spell. No. It's still a castable spell.
Yeah, that resolved, unfortunately. It just does not actually counter the spell.
There we go.
I mean, it may not matter anyway. It doesn't look like anybody else has anything, as we are going to go ahead and pod away this endurance.
I believe the bloodless pod is taking this away here. All
Yeah.
right, so we from 3 to 4 we get a Felidar Guardian.
We're going to see Felidar Guardian. Okay.
Yeah. Felidar Guardian ETB flickers the Mercy Pod, which untaps.
So is there a way, can you disrupt this with a removal spell then? Like, can a player have like a Swords to Plowshares here and disrupt this?
Yes, because he's going to end up with the Kiki combo and any removal for the Kiki.
You can just like Swords the creature with the copy Kiki on the side. Okay, cool. So there's the pod away the Felidar Guardian. Now, if you are correct, this one should grab a Karmic Guide.
Correct. Karmic Guide with ETB by return the Felidar back to the battle.
Okay. Let's see exactly what we're gonna grab, but Karmic Guide seems like a common sense one. Let's just think someone has like a Noxious Revival or something insane.
Karmic Guide?
Well, he doesn't.
Karmic Guide.
Yeah, Alex doesn't have any mana.
Yeah, Alex cannot cast a spell any longer, and that may actually kind of be an issue. I don't think Kenrith itself can disrupt this combo in any way, but no more spells for Alex accepted this turn. Fonzie and Deco can still cast a spell. 1 mana available for Fonzie.
Go grab Kiki.
Oh, the Felidar, grab the Kiki.
I have nothing for everything that's happening, so just to let you know.
Deco, I believe.
Make a copy of Karmic Guide.
Yeah, here's the Kiki. Make a copy of Karmic Guide.
Karmic Guide copy brings by Felidar, and we make infinite 1/4s.
Yeah, it's face up infinite. If nobody has anything, we'll see exactly. I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit of conversation, but Alex accepted there in 4th seat, not going to be the one casting a spell.
I respect the sequencing from Liz. Liz had this set up for 3 turns because for his first activation he went to get the endurance. Where we're thinking that maybe he was respecting the graveyard deck, but
he needed a 3 mana creature.
Yeah, he needed a 3 mana creature, so he didn't have to fight the Archon.
Wait, hold on.
Which is amazing sequencing.
Okay, so we're targeting the Kiki Jiki, and I think there's a wait hold on from Fonzie, and we see mana being reached for. This could be a Chain of Vapor, but Chain of Vapor, is Chain of Vapor good enough? probably is, right?
Is good enough because he doesn't.
What is its response?
Depends on when he's interacting.
So the
Okay.
activation on.
It looks like we have a Felidar Guardian.
Oh, me targeting the Feldar.
No,
Yeah,
the
it looks like
activation Kiki on Karmic Guide.
Yeah.
Activation of Kiki on Karmic Guide.
Okay, so it doesn't. He hasn't returned the Felidar.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you can basically. I don't know if this is the best place to interact, but I think you can interact any of the next 3
I
times.
think- yeah, I
it's
think-
Chain
yeah.
of Vapor.
I think I would prefer to wait till the next time. I guess if this is noxious,
In that case, it wouldn't.
Yeah, if Noxious would work here, right?
in all honesty.
There is a copy, maybe trigger Worldly
I can't cast another spell.
Tutor
Ristic.
is the one spell.
okay.
for
Oh,
Fonzie.
our hope is you draw.
We're
special draw
triggering
something?
Ristic Study. Okay. And that draws 2
Oh.
cards for Fonzie as
Yeah, but
well.
that doesn't
but
do anything.
it doesn't do anything because now Fonzie's shut out of spells. So Deco, the only one left able to
Deco-
cast spells.
Correct. Yep.
So make a copy of Karmic Guide.
You're good. You can do the thing.
Comes into play Flicker's Kiki.
All right.
Kiki taps,
Kiki
target
Feldar.
Felidar.
Just
And no effects. There's just
Make
infinite here.
infinite Feldars. Text.
You got it.
Alrighty.
Infinite Feldar's attacks. Looks like everybody's putting their hands up, and that's it. There
That
it
is
is.
it.
Birthing Pod gets a victory here in our what is likely at least a win, and I'm sure Lisby now almost certainly locked for our elimination rounds in the top 16. The other players, we'll see exactly where they fall on breakers. This was a little bit of a mixed match pod, but either way, Birthing Pod, quite a performance on this stream, and I think that certainly the Archon of Emiria does a lot to enable pod, and that's a big reason why we saw Lisby, have such a great start with that, right? Like they were willing to keep this hand that produced a turn 1 Archon that allows them to slow the game down such that they can tutor for pod and begin the pod thing. Like you said, a 3-turn setup, yeah, that's slow, but if there's a rule of law in play, it doesn't matter. Everything is slow. So you're good to go, and it's quite efficient, actually. It's very mana efficient, and it's great performance there.
That is very, very interesting to see that the Archon never got challenged that whole game.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
They thought, every player thought, I guess, that either they didn't have removal or they thought they could win underneath it. I think that's kind of the long and short of it. And I do think a lot of those decks are very well set up. I mean, we saw life totals under a lot of pressure from multiple Kinriths, and we saw, the Tivit deck kind of stumbled a little bit on mana, but we know that Tivit's a huge threat in the air. Yeah, that's able to get started. So overall, I think all the players were like, okay, yeah, Archon, I can play around that. But of course, the Tivit player was the only one that able to take a turn before the Archon even came down. Normally you want like 1 turn to get your mana crypt and all that stuff set up, and then you can start to play underneath it. But a turn 1 Archon's really brutal. Either way, Lisby, powerful turn 1 in second seat. That's a big recipe for winning in cEDH. They were able to lock it up. They're going to advance and very likely make it into our top 16. We'll see about the rest of the players. In the meantime, we have more Magic being played right now. I'll get confirmation on if we're going to try to hop into another pod, but I assume we are. But before then, we're going to go ahead and cut to an ad break, and then we're going to come back with more Magic action for the rest of our last round of Swiss, round 5, ahead of the top 16. So don't go anywhere. Be right back soon.
Our merchandise is now available in our store. You can get playmats, sleeves, dice, coins, and tokens. Right now until the end of January, get 10% off of your order when you enter Mox Masters January at checkout. All sales go to help the channel, so thank you all very much. Playing with Power is excited to announce the first annual Mox Masters Invitational coming in Q3 of 2023. It is an in-person cEDH tournament weekend with thousands of dollars in prizes. How do you get to the Invitational? By winning Mox Masters points through your tournaments this year. We award points to the top 32 spots in our tournaments. With enough points, you get an automatic qualification to the Q3 event. Want to go but don't feel ready to participate in Mox Masters? Want to prepare for the Mox Masters tournament themselves? Our webcam Discord League awards Mox Masters points as well. If you subscribe to our Patreon at any tier, you get an automatic entry into our monthly webcam leagues. We award points to the top 10 of the leagues every month. January's registration is already open and there are still some tickets left. You can also sign up to our Patreon and start playing in the league right now. Thank you all for your support, and we will see you at the tournament. We have recently revamped our Patreon, adding a ton of new perks. We are introducing Patreon webcam playdays. Once per month, we will be hosting a playdate on our Discord playing webcam games with all of our patrons. All tiers qualify. We are introducing Patreon exclusive gameplay videos as well. These videos are not available to the public and only for patrons. We are also introducing a new merchandise tier. When you sign up to this tier, you'll receive a merchandise bundle with all kinds of Playing with Power goodies. This revamp is in order to give more to those who already support us. Thank you all very much for your support and sign up today.